So after my friend Malamar, where's Game Freak gonna take the hype cycle now? A new Mega Evolution? Maybe a new mode we haven't seen? Some story tidbits?
Now that the honeymoon phase is over, paid DLC announced before the game even comes out. Kalo's Megas are only available if you have an online subscription and partake in online competitive. DLC will be $30. Pokemon caught in Zia can't be transferred previous games. My excitement for this game plummets with every anti-consumer decision made.
Interesting. Interesting to shoot yourselves in the foot there when you're riding on a high. Of course, only my company could do such a thing. It wouldn't be Pokemon without any controversies like that, eh? So we had a Nintendo Direct not a few days ago, and for what was supposed to be Mario's 40th, they announced a lot of Pokemon stuff. Like, you guys couldn't have put this in the Pokemon Presents. That was pretty mediocre not that long ago. Pokemon, yes, more stuff I don't care about! Yes! Listen, you can never predict Game Freak, can you? In the same way I couldn't have predicted whatever nonsense is going on at the moment. How else do you react to a company announcing that they're going to support a game post-launch and everyone is still mad at them? Justifiably, don't get me wrong, but it's really funny that, isn't it? Like, they announced post-launch support and people are angry. And while the optics of it aren't that good, like renouncing DLC when the game isn't out yet is just weird. You know, like I know a lot of games do it, it's kind of common-ish. It's just really weird to do. We don't even know if I like the game yet and you're trying to sell me more stuff. But I think what it mainly comes down to is it sows the seeds of doubt in people's heads. I know it sows the seeds of doubt in mine. So what exactly do I mean by that? In fact, I'd ask you the question. When you think of a Pokemon Legends game, what do you expect from it? It's a very hard question to answer because you only have one previous game to kind of compare it to. Whereas with a normal, standard, traditional Pokemon experience, we kind of know what we expect. There's 8 gyms, an Elite Four champion, we thought an evil team on the way, with a rival to keep us honest, a couple of small tidbits either there, some interesting locations, some good Pokemon to find, and all in all, with roll credits, we're pretty satisfied. But with a Legends game, what makes a complete Legends game? It's the reason why Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, for all its flaws, one of the things I never heard about it was that it was a ripoff or a scam in the sense of the content on offer. It was a ripoff and scam in terms of the absolute piss poor state it launched in, but no one was playing that game and reached the end and went, I felt like I was shortchanged in a Pokemon experience. And that's because it gave us all the hallmarks of what we expect from a Pokemon experience, at least in a mainline Pokemon experience. So when someone throws out the allegations of, oh my god, the hidden treasure of Area Zero, that's just stuff they ripped from the game and they're selling us to us later. You can go, well, not really. I mean, they could. I mean, unless you have like a whistleblower inside Game Freak that kind of threw the lid on all of this. It's kind of just conspiracy theory talk and I'm not really that interested. I got a complete experience out of SV, so if they want to sell us DLC later, I'll happily explore the hidden treasure of Area Zero. But can you say the same thing about Legends? We don't exactly have a large breadth of games to look back on to show you what a standard Pokemon experience should be. So when people rightfully ask questions and say, hey, did they rip this from the base game to sell to us later? We're just scratching our heads going, well, we actually don't know. At least that's how it looks from the surface level. If you guys didn't know, and I say that, but I'm sure you've noticed the large Pokemon hole in the calendar for the last 3 years. Scarlet and Violet came out in 2022, and the DLC for that came out in 2023, which ideally would have opened the doors for PLZA to come out in 2024, so the DLC could come out in 2025. But the going theory seems to be, at least from my brief browsing into the Terra Leaks website, I didn't want to look into that too hard, I'll be honest with you. I don't really want to be spoiled for PLZA. But it seems like the original plan was that timeline that I just suggested. But of course, Nintendo asked them to delay it by a year so that they could have another game to bolster their Switch 2 opening gambit. So they delayed the game. So instead of delaying the DLC to accommodate, they decided to just keep the DLC date presumably the same, which seems like a good thing, right? Instead of arbitrarily delaying the DLC to make it look a bit better, they're giving it to us when originally planned, so we get to enjoy more content sooner if you're already a fan of the base game. I was talking about this on stream a couple days ago. I know genuinely some people in my live chat who believed that this was actually going to be day one DLC. I thought it was day one. No, it's not day one. It's February. Wow, it's almost like they didn't communicate it. Wow, it's almost as if Nintendo have a big issue with that lately. Wow, it's almost like they don't tell us things anymore. It isn't day one. You see, everyone thinks it's day one. You people are actually cooked. You people are actually, you guys are actually like dead. You guys are cooked. People actually thought, yes, a lot of people thought this was day one, bro. Yes. Which if it was, would have been extremely scummy. In that case, yeah, why not package it with the game instead of selling it to us after? There is no after. You're selling it to us now. But if you look at the reveal trailer, especially in a Nintendo Direct format where most people aren't going to pause and analyze, it kind of led to the assumption that we were getting DLC on day one. And I think what's caused a lot of this ruckus as well is communication, which, if the Switch 2 era is anything to go by, seems to have gone the way of the dodo. The amount of people I've seen where they genuinely believe that this was going to be day one DLC, the amount of screenshots I've seen where people are saying this game is going to cost $100 at launch is genuinely insane. But at the same time, I don't necessarily blame them because they didn't make it clear in the trailer that it's going to be post-launch DLC. I mean, they showed it in a visual graphic, but it went by so quickly, and especially in a Nintendo Direct format when people aren't willing to pause and analyze. Like, it's a live show, so you're not going to really stop there to think. You just see a DLC and think it's going to come out right away. It caused a bit of confusion that would have been very nice to clarify. And even if you go on their website, actually, you have to like read the text to see that it's coming out later. It's not like big bold font or anything. This is definitely a case of Pokemon fans can't read. Yet again, sky is blue, water is wet. Nintendo could have very easily done a better job of showcasing to us that this is in fact going to be post-launch DLC, not day one DLC. It also doesn't help that we currently have a bit of a case of content ripped out of a game and sold to us later in the case of Donkey Kong Bonanza. If you're not familiar with that situation, they recently released a DLC called DK Island plus Emerald Rush, in which you get to explore and decorate your own DK Island and play a fun roguelike mode called Emerald Rush. But considering this was the same dev team that also made Mario Odyssey, a game that also had Mushroom Kingdom and Luigi's Balloon World available to you, one as a post-game area to explore, one as a free update, and you have the equivalent in DK Bonanza being charged $20, it leads people to wonder, yeah, come on, surely you guys literally just ripped it and then sold it to us. What are we doing here? You're not selling me snake oil here, Nintendo. So considering we have a recent case where you can genuinely make a very solid case that they sold this to us later, people are extra antsy about Pokemon 2. And not to mention, it's just kind of cool to hate Pokemon, so of course I was also going to fluff up the numbers, you know. But either way, I'm genuinely very happy it's getting DLC, and in all honesty, the only issue I have with this is I wish they probably would have announced it in a different format, you know. Maybe Shadow dropped it in the Pokemon Presents in February, maybe. That would have been a lot better. But I can't really say I have too much faults with them giving me more content, because either I play PLZA, I enjoy it, but not so much to pay for the DLC, or I play PLZA, I didn't like it, in which case I don't need to buy the DLC. Or I play and I enjoy it, and I want more, so I buy the DLC. Either way, I'm not too fussed with it. I get to choose with my own wallet what I'm going to buy, and if the game is worth it, I'll also pay for the DLC. And I think that's what I'd recommend everyone do, really. Vote with your wallet. So all in all, I can bookend this situation with horribly communicated, Pokemon fans can't read, but all in all, a bit of a nothing burger. The other two situations is where it gets a bit dicier. So they have in fact revealed that the Gen 6 starters have Mega Evolutions, but these are tied to ranked rewards. And not just the kind of ranked rewards you get at the end of a season, depending on how high you climbed, they tied them to promotion ranks, meaning that you have to reach a certain rank, then you get the Mega Stone. Now, I'm not going to run any sort of defense for this. This is dog, and I don't think you should neither. The idea of a game series like Pokemon, where every Pokemon is someone's favorite Pokemon, and gatekeeping some of them behind some weird unlocks, while it's nothing new for Game Freak, did any of you guys actually attend any of the events in the Gen 3 to 5 era? It's something that I was hoping would be left back in that era. But at the same time, I do kind of understand what they're doing here. As someone who also plays a lot of multiplayer shooters, Apex Legends, Overwatch 2, Rainbow Six Siege, these games are no strangers to the fact that when they announce a new mode, they usually have some sort of like challenges or like rewards tied to that mode to incentivize a player base to give that a try. Because what tends to happen is people are usually quite set in their ways. You invent a new mode, but how do you entice people to at least give it a try? You offer some sort of unique reward, you offer some sort of like high tier reward. An example I can give you is Overwatch 2 currently. They announced a new variant of one of their new modes called Stadium Quick Play, which is a faster paced version of the new mode Stadium they released a couple of seasons ago. In order to incentivize people who didn't like the base Stadium mode for its slower pace to give it another try now that it's in a quicker, faster format, they offer double rewards for anyone playing it. So when you lose a game, it counts as 1 game. If you win, it counts as 2. If you play a game of Stadium, it counts as 2. And if you win a game of Stadium, it counts as 4. It essentially doubles your progression. And while they're doubling their progress, they might play the mode enough to get a feel for it where they end up enjoying it. So you tease someone with a reward they want. You make them play a mode they're not too familiar with. Maybe they take to it, maybe they don't. But then they get the reward and either they're left going, well, I'm never playing that again, but at least they gave it a try. Or, you know, I'm glad I gave that a try and I want to play it some more. In a series like Pokemon, where people tend to play the game in very, very different ways, you got people that like to collect Pokemon, you got people that like the story, you got people that like the battling. And considering they're also making Pokemon champions, they really want to make battling more appealing to the average Pokemon fan that probably isn't too interested in it. I could definitely understand why they thought this was a good idea. But I think tying Mega Stones for new evolutions wasn't the way to go about it. Worst case scenario, if you had to put some Mega Stones behind the promotion rank thing, you could have used some of the old Mega Stones maybe. Like, hey, if you want to Mega Evolve these old Pokemon that you probably already did in X and Y, then yeah, you gotta play the rank thing, maybe, but even then I wouldn't be too happy about it. Maybe you could do some unique battle items, like say if they introduce some new battle items to the series, as they tend to with every generation, maybe those are locked behind progression rewards, you know? But then that might cause a kind of like scenario where there's haves and have-nots. It's a really weird balance to strike. You want there to be enough of a reward incentive for people to give it a try, but not so high where it feels like I'm forced to play this mode. And it also doesn't help that we don't exactly know which promotion rank the Mega Stones are going to be tied to. I'm presuming, based on my knowledge of other multiplayer games, that what they're going to do is they're going to have it be probably the lowest tier of promotion. How it goes right now is you go beginner rank, Pokeball, Great, Ultra, Master. I'm guessing they're going to have the promotion go from beginner to Pokeball, then you get the Mega Stone. Because if they did any higher, that would be a bit crazy. But I'm assuming just to get your feet wet, they're going to have it be the lowest tier reward. Even then, it just shouldn't be something that's here, you know? You don't want to tie new Mega Evolutions, especially for highly anticipated Pokemon like the Gen 6 starters, behind this promotion requirement. Another argument against this is that it also doesn't help with the future proofing of this game. Like, say for example, when the servers go down like 10, 20 years from now, like people gonna have no access to this? Like, is that how it goes? But then again, I am talking to the same Pokemon community that managed to make mock-up GTS servers for people to get old event Pokemon. So in terms of preserving the stones, I can't say I'm too worried from a fan perspective because I know the fans have me covered. But just on a principled stance, it just is annoying and you just shouldn't be doing it, really. And also just remembered, like, what? Chestnut is season 2, and I think each season runs for a month. You have to wait 2 months if you want Chestnut. I'm sorry, if your favorite Pokemon is Chestnut, I'm so sorry. I mean, I don't give a shit about Chestnut, but if your favorite is Chestnut, I'm so sorry. You gotta wait 2 months for him. 2 months! So all in all, I can definitely see the outcry behind the situation. This isn't a case where the Pokemon fans are just yelling for the sake of it because the day ends in a Y. Locking behind highly anticipated Mega Evolution Stones behind a mode that the good chunk of the player base tends not to gel with was not the right play in the slightest. And then we get into the last thing, which I only found out about recently, but how this is going to work now is that any Pokemon transferred from Pokemon Home to ZA is essentially going to be locked out of the previous generations. So let's pretend there's a Pokemon that is from SV and in PLZA, but if you transfer it from SV to PLZA, it can't go back. It's essentially locked behind that game now. I think this is the one that makes me annoyed the most, because I think Pokemon Home was excellent for preserving your old Pokemon. I am okay with the idea of Dexit in the modern day. I think it gives the Pokemon in the game base itself a chance to shine, and I think 400 Pokemon is a good enough number between old and new Pokemon where you can find the Pokemon you like. But I think this system works best when you have a base to have all of your Pokemon in, so you can transfer your old friends whenever, as and when they become available. So if you're telling me if you've made an arbitrary cutoff in, what, Gen 9.5? We're not even in Gen 10 yet. You've made an arbitrary cutoff here for some reason. I'm just very, very, very confused. It's almost like, why are we even paying for Pokemon Home at this point? I think I'm just genuinely better off just keeping all of my Pokemon in the games they're in and just like canceling Home at this point. I think I'm not even joking, I might just actually do that. If you're telling me the one feature that made Home justifiable is compromised, I can't really say I'm interested in the service in the slightest. And I think if there is an angle to attack Game Freak one, it's definitely this one. They really have to explain why they've done this. It makes no sense to me. I don't know if you've noticed, but when you try to transfer a Pokemon from, like, say, Scarlet and Violet to, like, BDSP or to Sword and Shield or to Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, for example, or wherever you're transferring it to, they adjust the movesets to accommodate for which moves are available in which game and which moves aren't. They do that automatically for you. So if it's to do with like moves or abilities, like they account for this in the games. If I'm gonna even run a slight bit of devil's advocation, there must be like something in the back end that makes this not possible. I can't see them arbitrarily going and they're just like cutting us off. That makes no sense to me. From the looks of it, that's what it looks like to me. Why have you done this? So I would seriously consider getting rid of your Home subscription at this point if they don't do some sort of update in the future or even give some sort of explanation. I don't know what they've done here, and very, very, very confused. So those are the big 3 talking points I've seen at the moment. I don't know if there's anything more brewing in the Pokemon discourse. Well, if there is anything else, do let me know in the comments. Either reply or make even a follow-up video, because this sort of thing interests me. And while you're leaving that comment, be sure to hit the like button for me. It lets me know you're interested, along with subscribing as well. Be sure to do both if you haven't already. I hope you enjoyed my semi-decent ramblings, and until next time, there's your lot.